Welcome to the Italian Wine Podcast. This episode is brought to you by Wine2Wine International Academy, announcing the 24th of our Italian Wine Ambassador courses to be held in London, Austria, and Hong Kong from the 27th to the 29th of July. Are you up for the challenge of this demanding course? Do you want to be the next Italian Wine Ambassador? Learn more and apply now at wine2wineinternational.com.
Italian Wine Podcast, a Wine2Wine Business Forum 2021 media partner, is proud to present a series of sessions highlighting the key themes and ideas from the two-day event held on October the 18th and 19th, 2021. This hybrid edition of the Business Forum was jam-packed with the most informed speakers discussing some of the hottest topics in the wine industry today. For more information, please visit wine2wine.net and tune in every Thursday at 2 p.m. Central European Time for more episodes recorded during this latest edition of Wine2Wine Business Forum.
Hello, we are so happy to be here today, and we are going to be speaking today about the frontier of augmented reality. And so we're going to go ahead and start presenting what we have to share with you today. And so today we're talking about a topic of the new frontier, specifically of wine advertising using augmented reality. And we're going to be saying AR just to keep things short for augmented reality today. And so I would love to kick things off with starting at the very beginning with a pioneer in this area of AR technology, which is something that I actually worked on and what first brought me here to Wine2Wine conference, which is 19 Crime series. Some of you may be familiar with this, but I will go ahead and kick things off just to show what started a large phenomenon in wine advertising with AR. So I will go ahead and I will let the wine bottles introduce themselves here. We'll have to come back and play a video when I get back over to this. We can go ahead and move forward with who we are. So I am speaking today, and I had worked at a Tactic, a studio in San Francisco, who worked on several huge pieces in the wine industry with XR, and which can stand for extended reality, mostly augmented reality. And we will be showing a few different examples of what this technology does for a brand. And currently I work in the Computational Design Institute for research for these technologies. Everything that I present here today, views are my own and not to be identified with any other entity that I am currently with. So Tom, if you would like to also introduce.
Sure. Hi, everybody, and thanks, Hannah, for the opportunity to speak with you today and present on my favorite topic, augmented reality. I've been in the augmented reality space now for over a decade, wearing a number of different hats. I've been a journalist, I've been a community builder, I've also done some investing as a venture capitalist in this space, and I'm currently leading product and marketing at Eighth Wall, who is the leading web-based augmented reality development platform. And today I'll be talking a little bit about web-based augmented reality, or what I'll use the shorter form web AR throughout the presentation, and break down what the technology is all about, and especially showcase some examples and talk about some proof points that really demonstrate how web AR can deliver real ROI. For the wine industry and for advertising and marketing in general.
So as we talk further about augmented reality, and some of you may know 19 Crimes as an app-based experience where you download the app from the stores and then you're able to open up your camera on your phone, scan the bottle, and the label essentially comes to life, featuring mugshots that tell you about their stories and transportation to Australia. So we're talking about the next frontier in this space. And it has evolved quite a bit to also include, as Tom said, web-based AR, so that you don't have to open an app. You just open up your browser on your phone and the experience is there without having to wait for any download times. So this is what we're going to be focusing on today as far as the AR tech and this evolution.
Great, thanks, Hannah. So Eighth Wall is on a mission to make augmented reality for everyone. And we're doing this by equipping developers and brands and agencies with powerful tools to create augmented reality for the browser. And so this is what is commonly referred to as web AR, or web-based augmented reality. And as Hannah mentioned, with web-based augmented reality, there is no app required to download. So this completely removes the friction for the end user. They meaning the end user, they simply scan a QR code and or click a link to be brought to the browser, where they will engage with the augmented reality on an AR-enabled web page. Eighth Wall is the leading web-based augmented reality development platform. Our augmented reality platform offers the widest reach possible of any AR platform. It's estimated that when you launch an experience with Eighth Wall, you have an estimated reach of 3.5 billion smartphones around the world. And this includes both iOS and Android devices. And so this is another important thing to know about web-based augmented reality. When you develop a web AR project and you publish it to both iOS and Android devices. So it is cross-platform. The Eighth Wall platform includes an augmented reality engine. This is a proprietary augmented reality engine for Eighth Wall, which means that this is our own technology that enables three main types of augmented reality experiences. And all of these can be very applicable to what you're doing in the wine industry and marketing your brands. The first is world effects, which makes use of the rear-facing camera of your smartphone. And so the user, again, scans a QR code, gets to a web page, and they're able to see animations and objects in the space in front of them. And we'll see some examples of that soon. The second is image target augmented reality, which, as Hannah mentioned, by pointing your smartphone at a bottle, for example, the label of the bottle seemingly comes to life. And so with image target augmented reality, you are utilizing that image as a target, which would either trigger and or track the augmented reality on that label. And the third main type is face effects, which is the ability to change someone's face, whether that be to add objects to it, like virtual hats, for example, or virtual glasses, and or to modify the face in terms of making it look like someone's wearing a face mask. All of these are possible, again, in the browser using the Eighth Wall platform. And if we go to the next slide, one of the technologies that we'll play this video of in just a bit, but I really want to underscore is Eighth Wall's curved image target capability, which is very applicable to the wine industry because many of your labels are wrapped around cylindrical and or conical objects. And so Eighth Wall is unique in that we have the only curved image target technology that works, again, in the browser, so no app required to download. And and you'll see in a bit, this will mean that you can point your smartphone at a wine label wrapped around a bottle, and the web application will recognize it and will either replace it with a video or trigger 3D objects, which could either remain on the bottle or even drop off the bottle and walk into the world. So if we want to play this video, it'll give more examples of what I'm talking about.
Suppose we can't play the video in another window here, but we can continue talking and then circle back to show everything come to life.
Okay. And certainly we can make the videos available afterwards. All of these are also found on eighthwall.com for the examples I'm talking to. I think we can move on to the next slide then, because One of the things that I'd love to review are the value propositions for web-based augmented reality, in particular the 8-Wall Web AR technology. We already talked about how with Web AR, you're removing the friction of not requiring an app to download. This has really unlocked the use of augmented reality for brands and brand marketers. Because as you know, you are looking to engage users as quickly and as efficiently as possible. And so when a user sees a call to action, whether that be on the neck of a bottle or on the bottle label itself, they're able to immediately engage with the augmented reality content by just scanning a QR code to get sent to the browser. We talked about how this is cross-platform, Android, iOS. In the case of face effects, also desktop is included on desktop webcam. We talked about also how scalable this technology is and being able to reach 3.5 billion smartphones. But some of the other value propositions I want to raise up are really intrinsic to the freedom and the flexibility of the web. And so with 8-Wall Web AR, you really do have complete control over your content guidelines and the types of content that you're looking to include in your experience. There is no third-party review system. Essentially, you're building either with your team in-house or with a fantastic partner like Tactic and others that will feature within this presentation. And once you're ready to go, you just press the publish button, and the web page is sent live to over 200 points of presence around the globe. This also makes it really easy and amenable for updates. And so if you're looking to make updates, whether this is a fix or perhaps releasing new content as part of the campaign, again, you have complete control over your schedule. You can release these updates whenever you wish without any review process. You're also able to integrate with 8-Wall Web AR outside APIs. And so this could mean that you're integrating, real-time updates. Maybe you're leveraging weather, for example, and your experience is changing, or making use of weather information. Incorporating real-time APIs is very easily accommodated within the 8-Wall platform. And this also means that you're able to use external libraries like your own analytics system. So, of course, measurement is going to be key within any campaign. Being able to use the analytics systems that you are already using for other web-based marketing campaigns is something you're going to be able to do with 8-Wall Web AR. And as the marketing experience is a web page, which can be accessed via a link or a QR code, Web AR is very easy to integrate with your existing marketing mix. And this means that you're able to attach a Web AR experience easily to digital ads, social ads. Web AR, 8-Wall Web AR in particular, works within in-app browsers. So this means that if you're running an ad within Instagram or Snapchat or other social media platforms, this campaign will work. You can send out a link via a text alert or in an email blast, whether that's a newsletter or a dedicated campaign push. And the QR code can easily be printed on signage and packaging and experiential marketing installations that you might be also doing as part of the 360-degree campaign you're putting together. And so I know we have a reel, and I'm pretty sure this probably won't work, but we will make it available. I will say that 8-Wall has now powered over 1,000 commercial Web AR experiences. And so the platform is very much tried, tested, and proven in the market. 8-Wall has powered experiences across industry vertical, including the beer, wine, and spirits category, food and beverage, CPG, QSR, automotive, B2B, corporate use cases. On 8wall.com/blog, we have a number of these campaigns highlighted for you to really review and be inspired as to what's happening in the industry. And we're going to see some examples here. We may not be able to see them moving, which with augmented reality as a living medium, you really get the full grasp of what we're talking about with GIFs and video. But Hannah and I will make sure that you all have access to the videos that are in the presentation, so that immediately after you'll be able to understand what this looks like.
Yes, and then after we're done speaking about all of the content, I can go ahead and open up a new browser so that we can't see these videos,
Oh,
because
that's
it is
perfect.
very special to be able to see what's happening with these bottles, especially if you haven't seen it before. So
Yeah.
we'll go through these. Awesome. So on this note of advertising, I have, for one, when I worked with Tactic, I worked with Eighth Wall and used so many of what they had to offer, and it is extremely helpful, especially the wrapping technology targets around the cylinder shapes. As you can see here, we actually recently, Tactic had released bottles that were of the Santi Ventale and the Quadrio wines, which I will show you an example of this later, that had shown a virtual wine tasting, which I think is very fitting, and I'm very excited to share this one later. But for now, we can talk about what makes a great AR experience, which I love to outline for everyone. And that brings us to, when you're starting to put together your ideas for how to do this yourself for your company, I always say that brand is very key, and having a great sense of what makes your brand really special to you so that you can best bring that to life. So being at Tactic, we were very much a part of this whole creative experience that built the technology behind it. And so, for example, 19 Crimes, which obviously had very great visuals to begin with on the actual label, and pictures that can seamlessly come to life. As we can see here, seamlessness is extremely important to the experience, especially the one that Tactic had been making, which means that nothing pops on in front of the bottle immediately. There's always a very clear transition, which I will be able to show you, between the physical bottle itself and the virtual experience that is happening in front of the bottle, because you really want the user, even though they're holding up their cell phone to the bottle, you want them to feel like this is real, that the mixed reality is really blending in with the bottle itself. This bottle is alive, and so it almost builds a type of brand empathy with the user, which is extremely important. That means that the experience has to start immediately, which again, bringing us to the web platform using Eighth Wall. This is extremely helpful, and it really helps bring down those barriers that we're seeing with some of the wait times or some of the apps that people have to go and download. It is quite a very seamless experience that way. And it can be done many ways, from QR codes and other ways to bring them to the experience. As you can see in this picture, they used bottleneckers with the QR codes, so people who are shopping in the store immediately can scan the QR code and be brought to the experience where they are. And as Tom mentioned, they support different analytics to measure all the metrics. I think that is a very important area to bring up, because when I worked with Tactic, we were able to provide a suite of those metrics and provided them to the company. What's important to understand is that when you have this experience and you're looking at these metrics, you understand that the consumer has your product in their hand. They're holding the product for the most part, and they're viewing the experience, and they're thinking about your brand. So that's very powerful. Interaction is very good for the experience, and it can also be passive interaction, very much like the 19 Crimes, or it can be something very active where they're touching the screen. Most of the time, there's your active experiences, because you are moving, you're able to move around the bottle for the most part. And eighth wall tracking is very, very good with this. Again, having your voice and having your story for your brand is very powerful. And we will see this with a few different examples of really how to exemplify that. So this is what makes great AR, and we're able to really make this happen with this technology. I also had a really great video to share, which I will, to show many different examples of wine bottles coming to life. using, and what we do is we use different animation. As Tom said, we use 2D being flat on the label playing a video, or you can use 3D content to actually look like things are coming out of the bottle at you. So we will get to this. We will share this. With that, we did want to share some wine label examples with you, just to give you an idea of how different brands chose to share their bottles and bring them to life. One of these that I do want to get into, and I want to give a brief explanation about before I share the video, are the Santi Ventale and the Nino Negri Quadrio wines that were released not too long ago. This is a fairly new release where it is the very first virtual augmented reality wine tasting experience. And so I believe these bottles are fairly popular throughout Italy. They're very good wines. And when you hold your phone up, it is web-based. You scan the label, and then there will actually be a captured hologram. So we captured people in the Microsoft stage with Meta Stage, captured them in 3D, basically making them into game assets so that they actually appear as real 3D people around the bottle. And this is very new and cutting edge, and they're able to provide you with a virtual wine tasting. So they're teaching you how to smell the wine, how to see the wine, and how to properly taste it, which is very exciting, paired with different visuals of the winery in Italy. So I'm really looking forward to share this one with you. Furthermore, on the topic of 19 Crimes, the experience has come a very long way since its original launch.
Thank you for listening to Italian Wine Podcast. We know there are many of you listening out there, so we just want to interrupt for a small ask. Italian Wine Podcast is in the running for an award, the Best Podcast Listening Platform, through the Podcast Awards, the People's Choice. Listener nominations is from July 1st to the 31st, and we would really appreciate your vote. We are hoping our listeners will come through for us, so if you have a second and could do this small thing for us, just head to ItalianWinePodcast.com from July 1st to the 31st and click the link. We thank you, and back to the show.
And so since we're talking about evolution, it's very important to note here some of the very new content that we did put together, actually focusing on web experiences as well, using eighth wall technology. So we worked with Snoop Dogg, and he partnered with Treasury Wines to offer his own wine as well under the 19 Crimes label. And this was a very successful experience. It still is today. I highly recommend taking a look at it in person. If you use the web AR experience, you're able to scan the label, and then Snoop Dogg will actually come out of the bottle and appear like a hologram in front of it, and he acts like a magic 8-ball. So you can interact with him and ask him questions, and he will basically answer the question for you. And this is very exciting. So we can see here that the brand story and the brand identity is evolving and continuing to be successful with something very fresh as far as content, because it's important to note that in the current age that we are in, it's very important for brands to have this digital identity. And we're seeing this more and more. We're seeing that a lot of consumers are expecting to see a lot more digital content, something that they can also identify with. So when they're shopping, they're looking for something, an experience that they can interact with. This is a great example of that, and something that really shares a powerful voice for the brand. To you, Tom.
Thank you. Before I get into this example, I love some of the things that Hannah is talking about when it comes to AR and wine. Wine itself is an experience, and so I think it is a perfect pairing for augmented reality to enhance that experience with an augmented reality experience. And as you're seeing, especially in the use of web-based augmented reality image targets, curved image targets in particular, the star of the show is your product, is that bottle. It's a necessity. It's a must-have. You need to have the bottle in order to interact with these experiences. And it is that bridge between the physical and the digital, which is really unique to augmented reality. And I think the third thing that we're also highlighting, and this example from Jackson Family Wines for Siduri also makes use of this, is this ability to digitally twin celebrities and spokespeople, whether that's influencers or rappers, or in this case, Adam Lee, who is the winemaker for Jackson Family Wines, and allowed for these well-known individuals to enter the homes or the stores or wherever the restaurants, wherever the user is engaging with the augmented reality experience, to have a really personal and intimate and immersive experience. And so in this case, this example is for Jackson Family Wines. It was created by an agency, Rock Paper Reality, using the 8-Ball platform. Just like the Santi Wines, the other technology partner that was in the mix was also Microsoft's Mixed Reality Capture Studios, which is essentially a very large green screen stage with a ton of cameras and a ton of microphones that essentially creates what's known as volumetric video, so 3D video. And Adam Lee went to the stage and they created 3 different web AR experiences, which really allowed for Adam to introduce himself to the wine drinkers, as well as play some games and have some fun, and allow for them to be educated about the Siduri wine brand. This included a screw cap showdown where you played with Adam to see who could take the lid off a bottle of wine the quickest, all the way through to illustrating how many 90 points their wines have won in a really 3D and immersive manner. And so this hologram of Adam appears coming out of one of the bottles, which again makes the product the star of the show. And the user is able to, as Hannah pointed out, interact using some interaction on the screen, as well as take pictures. And it really is a brand new way to both educate the shopper on the product, entertain them, engage them in an experience which will be memorable and long lasting, and also make that connection to the spokespeople and or the winemaker themselves, something that you wouldn't typically have unless you actually went to the vineyard. And then I want to move on just to talk about ROI, because of course, many of you are entertaining the use of augmented reality, web-based augmented reality for your marketing campaigns. And as we've been pointing out, it's important to measure those campaigns to understand how to continue to succeed with the use of this technology. As I mentioned, 8-Ball Web AR has been used to power over 1,000 commercial experiences across various industries. We've worked with our partners to unlock and share case studies and success stories to really help you understand how brands are achieving ROI, achieving value, utilizing these technologies. And what we're seeing is that web-based augmented reality is really helping brands achieve ROI across the marketing funnel, whether that be a massive reach in top of funnel. One example that comes to mind is a Russian bank called Sberbank. They did a campaign for International Women's Day where they reached over 1 million users through that campaign, where the user was able to create a virtual bouquet, a 3D virtual bouquet that can then be shared via text message to recipients, those that they loved. And then the recipients went on to open it up and take a picture, and it felt like they actually received a bouquet of flowers. And so definitely with the right marketing campaign wrapped around it, web-based augmented reality, again, really allows for you to achieve that large scale that you're looking for to make an impression to a wide audience. But we're really seeing some very large success, both middle of funnel and bottom of funnel, when it comes to web-based augmented reality. Air Cards, one of our partners, created a campaign for the Dodgers World Series when they won the World Series just not too long ago for Golden Road Brewing. And in the web-based augmented reality experience, which was a face effect, there was a call to action, which was a rebate for the beer. And they found and reported that in experience, the click-through rate to that rebate was 18%, which is extremely high for a marketing campaign. And that's another thing to note about these web-based augmented reality experiences, is that we've been talking a lot about the 3D elements, but this is also a web page. And so, 2D UI or 2D elements on the page are fair game. And so buttons and other calls to action to, bring users down a funnel that you've optimized is definitely something that we're seeing. And as I just reported, we're seeing some great success. Finally, through to the sale of product, Rose Digital worked with Kate, which is a New York fashion company, to bring a lookbook to life. So again, a physical lookbook was shipped out to shoppers and influencers. They scanned a QR code, and they were able to put a virtual version of the shoe collection in their space to see the shoes up close and personal. And Kate reported that sales of that particular shoe collection increased 4 times due to the use of web-based augmented reality to really increase the shoppers' confidence in the decisions they were making. So lots of proof points here. Again, on eighthwall.com, we have a lot of other stories that you can visit and be inspired by, and or even utilize if you're in the audience and you need those proof points to put together a business case. They're certainly out there. So I encourage you to go and visit the website to find them.
Great. And I know that we are about to wrap up our main presentation here, but these were all really great points that Tom also made. And I can see through my experience of a few years working in the industry here, I know that engagement time has been going up quite a bit. So that's really fun. More people are using AR. They're using it for longer. I believe engagement time was about 2 minutes before. Now it's shooting up into 5. So that's very cool. I know COVID-19 also did, we did quite a few things during COVID-19 to help bring people together in a more digital space, which is something I didn't put into this presentation, but I thought of, Tom, when you had mentioned the bouquet, was we did something very interesting when we did a virtual cheers. And it was with a different brand. It was actually with Jim Beam. But the idea also goes towards wine as well. As you can send a text message and you can send a personalized message to someone through the web, and then you can do a virtual cheers using augmented reality off the bottle. And I just love the idea so much. And then here you can all take a look at different strategies I put together to see, how can you really start telling your brand's story with AR. Just through my experience of working with different clients throughout the years, I see them ask these different questions. So it can be helpful, when you're starting to think, hey, I want to do an AR experience. When you're approaching, a technology studio, or Tom might introduce you to a technology studio to get started. It's really helpful just to have these kind of ideas in mind when you're starting out, which I know that we can go through any questions as well about, how do I get there? How do I start advertising like this and bring my brand to life? And I think before we can go and start to transition over to questions next. And then when we're doing that, I'll also go ahead and bring up some of the videos, which good thing we didn't get too deep into them because I know that we're a little bit over time here. But I will be able to share at least some of them because I think they're very important to see. Also, Tom, this is Tom's information here. If you want to go ahead and if you want to reach out, contact, talk further, get introduced to technology or even a business partner, and then you can go and get started.
Thank you.
So I will go ahead and I will stop sharing for the moment while we start to take questions as I start to pull up these videos. Oh, look here. Perfect. Perfect. So this is
Easter Monday, 1876. We made break for the ship Catalpa. We nearly sunk getting to her. But after 2 days, hands bloody from rowing, we boarded the Catalpa and escaped.
Okay. You can stop the video there. It's long. There are quite a few of them. There's a whole suite now at this point, and you just point the phone, but using the app, and they just start to talk to you. It's very Harry Potter style. So if you want to go ahead and share the presentation again, I think we can share a little bit more of the videos that explain the technology and some other use cases that are in the web now.
So we do have one question that maybe we'll respond to while we're waiting for the videos. The question is, can wine consumers expect to pay a premium for interacting with Snoop or enjoying a virtual Santi wine tasting? So maybe, Hannah, if you want to just talk to the accessibility for those particular experiences, that would be great.
Yeah, definitely. That's a great question. So users get to experience all of this for free. They don't have to pay anything to see the experience. They just have to pay for the bottle of wine, which is the incentive. People want to have the experiences, and really importantly, AR specifically, we're talking about, is a shared experience as well. People love to be at a party and share what they're looking at. Their family members can ask questions to Snoop. We can actually see the AR experience and also drink wine at the same time, kind of thing. And it's no cost, but it does help the consumer buy the product, which we've seen in our metrics that it definitely did just that. So no, customers do not have to pay to see Snoop or anything like that. Those are free to them.
And I think like another thing to note about that experience that AR unlocks is that it creates a very long-lasting memory, which is very useful when that party you're at. You get inspired to go to the wine store and you're looking for wine to buy, and now that brand is top of mind because you had that experience. So I think that is also something to keep in mind. So it looks like we're also still open for more questions, so feel free to get those in. And I know that they're also working on some of the videos.
But you're totally right, Tom. I think for me, because I'm a consumer as well, and I really enjoy finding products that come to life in this way. And I found myself really getting attached to these products. I didn't want to throw them away. I wanted to keep them. They became important because they told a really important story. So that's really something very interesting psychologically about how we're responding to these products that do this.
We're getting some questions in. One of the questions are around licensing for talking wine or alcohol bottles. And I'm sure, Hannah, you have a lot of experience working on the production side and clearing rights and working with the talent in probably a very similar way you would with video. Maybe if you have any thoughts or ideas on that.
Oh, definitely. And it is very similar to working in the film industry, which I had the opportunity to do for a very long time before I got into technology. So typically, since we were the technology agency building the creative experiences around the bottles, typically we would work directly with the client being the winemakers or the marketing company who wanted to do this. And so many times the marketing company would go ahead and they would secure talent beforehand. So for example, Snoop Dogg, of course, is working with Treasury Wine. There's a really strong partnership there, and Snoop actually developed his own wine through the brand. Yes, so which is another really cool thing is hip hop is becoming a lot more popular in the wine industry too, which is another conversation. But I did license. We did another shoot for 19 Crimes inside the app, where we used MetaStage again, the Microsoft Mixed Reality Capture Stage, and we had to go ahead and secure actors like we would a normal film, which is not difficult. Typically, if you have a studio helping you out or a producer helping you out, it's very easy to do, and it's pretty similar to screen time. And in that sense, how you would release a video, you're just releasing a video around a brand. Same with the influencers for the Santi wine. They signed very similar like acting contracts used in for the brand. So it's quite easy actually.
And I know that there's a question around price points, just in general. I think like one thing I will say about the use of augmented reality is that the campaigns can be on a sliding scale depending on how complex you want it to be. So for example, just in taking a look at trying to create like a hologram-like experience, which we've showcased quite a bit, you can go to the one end of the spectrum, which is going out to a volumetric video capture studio to get talent captured from all angles and allow for users to be able to see, the back, the side, from the top, really make it feel like that that talent is in the space. But on the other end, you could also use a 2D video on a green screen to create a very similar effect. Of course, you'd have to do some work within the experience to keep that, that green screen hologram facing you at all times. And you wouldn't be able to see behind them, but it would give a very similar effect for a different price point, as well as opening up any or removing any of the issues on getting talent to a specific geographic point to be scanned, which in the case of a capture studio, you'll need to do. So really, depending on the scope of the project is really what will dictate the budget itself. One of the examples that we showed in the curved image target demo reel that we just played as one of the video was bringing a bottle to life, which was actually a picture that our lead product designer had of his cat as just like a demo for Chat Noir, which does not exist, and just creating a video that was overlaid on top of that wine bottle is a really efficient and effective use of web-based augmented reality as well. And certainly that type of campaign is something that would have a different budget than creating game assets and 3D content that would walk around the world in a more interactive, almost game-like manner.
Yes. And to that also, we worked with so many different ways of accomplishing these, the vision at Tactic. There was definitely a very wide range to budget the experiences. So of course, like you said, you have a whole entire like film production shoot at a stage, which is very exciting. And we also had the winemakers do Zoom in real time to watch everything happening, which is fun. But then again, you have like you have the flat videos, which I'm hoping that we can share another video to kind of share more examples that you can see 3D versus like 2D video on the label. Being if it were a flat animation on a wine bottle in production, that would be a little bit more cost efficient than doing like full on holographic or a lot of 3D game objects in a story around the bottle. And then again, Snoop Dogg was not 3D. He was, as Tom said, flat video. This is the Tactic reel to show you what can be done.
As a rebel, I fought for cause. I fought for freedom. Take the rope! I'm gonna need you to pour me a glass for that one. Let's make a toast to success and nothing less.
I gave them women's rights and suffragism. Journalism was never the same.
If you're obsessed with the other palettes in Lime Crime's Venus family, or if you're new here, I've got you totally covered.
That's great.
So there was a lot. There was a lot of content, all very, very different. Yes, I see a question, or not really a question, but a comment about being interesting to minors. That's a good point as well, because it's wine. Any alcoholic beverage, we are tailoring to be 20, 21 and up. And we also put in age gates for those brands who do have wine. So they go in and they type in, just like any website. Now that we're in the browser, is you type in their year, and then that's it. Looks like, wow, we're at a point where we're finished. I could talk all day. I could. I'm sad it's over, but you can reach out to Tom or to me on social, and we're happy to talk more.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you everyone so much.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Italian Wine Podcast, brought to you by Wine Italy Academy, home of the gold standard of Italian wine education. Do you want to be the next ambassador? Apply online at wineitalyinternational.com for courses in London, Austria, and Hong Kong, the 27th to the 29th of July. Remember to subscribe and like Italian Wine Podcast, and catch us on SoundCloud, Spotify, and wherever you get your pods. You can also find our entire back catalog of episodes at ItalianWinePodcast.com.
Hi guys, I'm Joy Livingston and I am the producer of the Italian Wine Podcast. Thank you for listening. We are the only wine podcast that has been doing a daily show since the pandemic began. This is a labor of love and we are committed to bringing you free content every day. Of course, this takes time and effort, not to mention the cost of equipment, production, and editing. We would be grateful for your donations, suggestions, requests, and ideas. For more information on how to get in touch, go to ItalianWinePodcast.com.